Okay? Okay. Do over. At this time, we're going to get started with our final budget presentation of the school year. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Steve Schlicka to present our final budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kern. I appreciate that. I couldn't have asked for a better segue this evening than the 10-year celebration as to why we do what we do. And this budget obviously supports all of those teachers and all of our students in everything that we do here. This budget presentation, I'll keep it short and sweet. It really hasn't changed from our last presentation numbers-wise, except for one number that you'll see tonight. And I'll move right in. I think I will. Start out with our tax cap. Tax cap hasn't changed in the last 3 meetings, still at 1.85% in the lower corner. We could raise up to $2.1 million. I won't go through the equation and boggle anyone's mind with it because, again, it's another state equation. The important part is the bottom right corner that, the tax levy could go up $2.1 million or 1.85%. As you know, there is a tax cap limit of 2%. Here's our state aid proposal, as we've seen before, but now we actually have the the final New York State legislative budget, as we all know, that came out a few days ago. And as you can see, our aid has gone up slightly. We changed none of our estimates, though, and the reason being is the estimates here. Foundation aid is our most important. As you can see, it went up about $130,000 for us. But again, that is an estimate, and usually their estimates are low when it comes to state aid for us. So we left our estimates right where they are. The other aids that actually went up a little bit, as you can see, BOCES again. From BOCES, high cost aid, private access, high tech, hardware, software, supplemental public transportation, and building aid are all driven, they're expense-based aids. So again, those are based on our estimates that are put in, and that's why you see slight updates and upticks to those in the amounts. Now, where does the money come from? Well, here in Suffern, basically it's our taxpayers. 76% of our budget is supported through the tax levy by our taxpayers here in Suffern, and we thank you so much for that. And state aid only is about 16% for us here in Suffern, and various other small amounts by our fund balance, our building aid, BOCES aid, again, these expense-driven aids as you see, and we're able to use about 2% to fund our budget with our reserves. Now, our estimated revenues, as you can see, again, basically left the same. The only number that's changed here is the use of other reserves, and that's because of transportation that I'll talk about briefly in just a second. Here, where does the money go? Basically, we're in the business of teaching and learning. Teaching and learning, we do that with teachers. And teachers like we celebrated tonight for tenure, and thank you again very much. About 47% go to salaries and 23% go to benefits. And special education programs around 8%. The others vary 1% to 2% on technology, buildings and grounds. Transportation is also a big piece of our budget. It's about 8% moving into next year. And we move about 3,000 students between non-public schools and public schools. Okay, estimated appropriations. And what this is what we plan on expending for next year, what we think we're going to spend. And basically the only number that's changed on this page at all is transportation. And I'll speak to transportation because tonight the Board of Education is also going to approve a transportation contract for approximately $10.6 million. And you look there and you say, well, gee, Steve, you've estimated 12.8, almost $12.9 million. How can that be? How can the difference be that large? Well, let me explain it. It's actually quite simple. When we went out for our RFP and we price what we're doing, we have to price it for the state of New York as though transportation sits right now. And as we know, our transportation is actually still abbreviated because we still have a shortage of drivers and runs. And most of our runs are much longer than they would normally be in a regular school year, which was 2 years ago. So when we price this and have to send it to the state of New York, the price comes out at $10.6 million, the way it stands today, and basically sitting in a shortage of transportation. So that being said, what this estimate takes into account is also the fact that, as you probably also know, April 1st was our deadline for our non-public schools. So that being said, as of today, it looks like we're going to have to transport to approximately 20 more schools that are non-public schools than we've had to in the past. Even though it looks like we're going to be moving approximately the same number of children to non-public schools and to the public school, us, we have to transport again to approximately another 20 schools. So that being said, with bell times and where those schools are located, that's what that extra money's for. Is again, as you know, our methodology is plan for the worst, hope for the best. So that being said, what we did here is we have the luxury, if you will, here in Suffern, to use some of our reserves. So we did that. Because if we don't need them, then we don't spend our reserves. If we do need it, it's there. That's what the reserves are for, so we don't spike our tax rate. Okay, so everybody understands that. There is any questions, I'll take them now. Mr. Kern, you good?
No, just a quick question.
Okay, sir.
So, all right.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay. So you said, so it was just recently that you said everything was due for all the schools for next year.
April 1st.
Okay. And you had about 20 additional schools than what we have this year?
Correct.
So if you don't know the exact number, that's okay, but approximately how many schools do you expect that we will be transporting to in the next school year?
Non-public, approximately 110, give or take 5 either way.
Okay.
Approximately 110.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can imagine, trying to reach bell times for that many, because we have a lot of what I call singletons. In other words,
right.
one student going to one school. So it's hard. I mean, we try our best to combine buses where we can, but you can only combine so many children to so many schools. They have to be located, obviously, geographically close enough together to get to the bell times. So you're not arriving an hour early or an hour late.
Yep. So then, I guess I'm just going to reiterate what you said, but just to close the loop on it. Our budget for this current school year, which is over in a few months, was a little over $10 million for transportation.
Correct.
And the contract that we're approving tonight is approximately 10.6 million.
Correct.
So again, just to clarify for everybody, right, we're budgeting for a significantly higher number because we know that
we're anticipating
we have
what we
all
have to
these
do.
additional schools that have just come on board over the last week and a half.
Right.
That need to be they need to be accounted for, and like you said, right, you plan for the worst and you hope for the best.
Yes, our transportation director, obviously, as you know, Ms. Rena Jessner is very good at this, and she's been at this many years. So we certainly trust her judgment.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right.
Do you need me?
Yes.
Need a mic?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
For those people at home, yes, we do.
Okay, for the people at home. The last budget sheet that we got was about $2 million less, the total of the budget, and that's where it is. It's in transportation.
Absolutely, that's where it sits.
And the tax levy increase was about 1.02, 1.01, whatever it was.
No, it's 1.21. The tax levy increase did not change.
Oh, that
nothing has changed. We used reserves. We did not increase the tax levy.
Oh, okay. So that stayed the same.
Nothing
so
has changed.
Reserves. Okay.
Like I explained before, we had used reserves
to do
that
before, right?
In case if it doesn't come to fruition and it isn't this bad, great. But at least we've planned for it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're here. Mr. Schloik, I was just wondering how much of our reserve is being used at
If you take a look at the bottom line here, use of reserves other, we're estimating about 2.8 million if all of the transportation comes to fruition, which we hope it doesn't.
right.
But if we need it, it's there. And as you know, we're very fortunate in the last 2 years with COVID that we underspent our budgets actually quite handsomely, and we were able to put money away in the last 2 years, as you know, in our reserves, just for a case like this.
And what is our balance on our reserve fund?
I can give you that later.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
Because we have many.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. More. Okay, so our preliminary budget tonight that you will be adopting will be a total proposed budget of $152,225,964. A budget-to-budget increase of just over 5%, and a tax levy increase that remains the same at 1.2%. Proposition 1, obviously, as we know, is, shall the 22-23 annual budget of $152,225,964 be adopted and a tax levy. Proposition 2, as we know, we'll go over once again, is all the colors in blue are the roofs that we're going to be doing at both the high school and the middle school for approximately $2.1 million. And again, we're using reserve funds to be able to do that. No effect to our tax levy whatsoever. In Proposition 3, what this is back in 2000, I believe it's 18, we created a $10 million reserve exclusively to fund our capital items that we do, our capital repair reserve, if you will. And we've been able to 100% fund that and actually spend most of it and take care of many of our items and our roofs. And so what we're going to do is we're asking our taxpayers to re-up that one more time. And to keep going, and we can use any funds that we don't spend in our budget. We always hold a 4%, as you know, fund balance, and anything over that we put into this reserve to keep going. Because as it stands right now, we get about 50% state aid on building aid, so the other 50% has to come out of our taxpayer dollars. So that being said, this is a great way to take our taxpayer dollars and put them back into our buildings for a nice, comfortable environment for our students to learn. And that's the end of our presentation, and I thank you very much for your attention.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Shloika. Are there any questions from the board?
So these three propositions, I'm sorry, these are all going to be voted on the May 17th election. Is that correct? They're all going to be on the ballot as well?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you very much. Take a 3-minute, just like a 3-minute break before we resume the regular meeting. Okay. All right. All right. We ready? Now? Yeah? Oh, we're still going? Oh, okay. All right. All right. We all ready? All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. At this time, we will recall to order the meeting of the Suffern Central School District Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do we have a student report tonight? All right.
Fourth quarter started this past Monday, April 11th. Last night was the spring extravaganza. Wednesday is the band bonanza at Suffern High School at 7:30. Wednesday, April 27th at 5:30 is the STIR Symposium, where the STIR students showcase the research they've been working on this past year. Also on the 27th is the RCC Virtual Black Achievement Awards and the Hispanic Heritage Awards. And AP exams begin the first week of May. Thank you.
All right, thank you. (1.09) minutes of the regular meeting of March 15th, 2022. Do I have a motion? Ms. Hodge? Do I have a second? Mr. Shapiro? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against? Any abstentions? All right. 1.10, superintendent comments.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It looks like RP Connor and Viola are in the house joining us this evening. Wow, look at that round of applause. Oh, that's great. We're thrilled that you're here with us, and we look forward to hearing from you in the comments a little bit later on towards the end of the meeting. As our student representative mentioned, spring is here. We're talking AP exams and all those fun things taking place, but a lot more enjoyable and things for us to really celebrate are the musicals that we just had. Guys and Dolls, for those of you that saw Guys and Dolls, it was a phenomenal production. It was my first Suffern High School musical production. I was blown away by it. I went home, told my wife, you won't believe this. Remember when I used to tell you the productions were great? You have no idea. These were amazing. The number of students that are participating in this event is just, it's mind-blowing. And the staff members that are responsible for elevating the student talent to that level is just exceptional. And it's truly something to be very proud of as a district. Junior prom was back. How wonderful was that, right? We had a successful junior prom. Again, 6 months ago, we would have been wondering if we're going to really be able to make these things happen. Just really nice to see some of those traditional, somewhat back to normal type of events taking place. And of course, how can we forget what just took place here in this room? The 10-year recognition just shows that we really have exceptional staff members that have served a few years here that are limitless in their potential and what they can do for our district and our students. Mentioning COVID, we all have seen the news where there's a slight uptick in COVID cases. We've seen that as a district as well. For those of you that are interested in seeing what our COVID situation is like, you can go to our website, the COVID-19 shortcut, and you can see the number of COVID cases that we're having. A slight uptick this week, but I'm very happy to say that our Test to Stay program is working very well. Dr. Lisa Castaldo, a colleague on the other side here, has been doing a remarkable job in working with our building administrators and school nurses, the Rockland Department of Health, and trying to navigate and figure out this ever-evolving situation. Speaking of which, on the 14th, there's another vaccination clinic. So for those individuals who thought like, COVID's over, you don't have to worry about vaccinations, please consider getting up to date on your vaccinations. That's happening again April 14th from 3 to 6 at Suffern High School. We're giving away COVID kits. And by the way, for all of those lucky audience members here this evening, when you exit the cafeteria, please pick up another COVID kit. It's our gift to you. I forgot to mention the string extravaganza. The string extravaganza took place last night here at Suffern High School. From fifth graders all the way up to seniors playing string instruments. They sounded absolutely wonderful, and is really a testament for why students should start a string instrument and continue with it throughout their high school career. And if you missed that, there's Band Bonanza tomorrow night here at the high school. So I'm looking forward to seeing a similar type of program, and I hope that you all consider joining us as well. And finally, on a serious note, an extremely important note, we're going to start issuing reminders at meetings, start sending mailings home to residents that the school board elections and budget vote will be taking place on May 17th. It will be here before we know it. All know that voting in a school budget election is absolutely imperative to the well-being of the school district. So I encourage you all to consider getting out the vote on that date. And thus concludes my superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you very much. Public participation. This is public participation on action items only. If there are any speakers at this time, please approach the podium. All right, seeing as So there are two public participation segments at our meeting. This one is specific to the action items that the board is about to vote on. After, later in the meeting, there's a second portion, which is the opportunity for somebody to come and address any district related. Okay. All right. So I'm guessing we don't have any action item participation. All right. And I'll close this portion and we will move on to our action items. So tonight we have action items 2.01 through 2.18. I am going to pull from the consent agenda item 2.15. Are there any other action items that anybody wishes to pull? Okay, so then I would make a motion for a consent agenda for 2.01 through 2.14 and 2.16 through 2.18. Do I have a motion? Mr. Shapiro? Second? Dr. Nickbaum? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against? Any abstentions? Okay. 2.15, this is the budget notice that goes out to the community and to the state. Do I have a motion? Mr. Donnelly, second. Mr. Frazier. Discussion. I wanted to pull this just to get some quick clarification so that everybody is clear, because there's just something on here that just needs, everybody should be aware. Down at the bottom, if you were to look at the budget notice, there is a space for the budget proposed and estimated basic STAR exemption savings, which we do not have yet. I'm going to just let Steve really quick just give a 10-second overview of that.
Yes, usually we would receive this number from our town assessor, and normally they would have had this over a week ago, and I believe it may be related to obviously the passing of the state budget being a little late again this year. So currently we don't have it as of today. As soon as we do, and we do anticipate having it by our budget hearing, and we'll fill it in that.
Okay, thank you. Well, again, just wanted everybody to have information, just understand why that number is not filled in yet. So, any other comments or questions? All right. So 2.15, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you very much. 6.01, board member comments. Ms. Dickman?
So first I want to say thank you to all of our teachers who received tenure. I was so impressed by all of the credentials and the background of these individuals. And on top of that, just how lucky we are in this district for all of their contributions and everything that they bring in the classroom, which we know, as difficult as we imagine the job is, it's, 10 times harder than that. So thank you all, and thank you to the ones who came out tonight. I also was lucky this year to have attended the fall theater production at the high school, and also the Wizard of Oz musical at the middle school, and Guys and Dolls at the high school. And as Dr. Gunderson said, these were fantastic performances, and really they could not take place without the efforts, not only of the students, but all the many teachers who helped, the volunteers, and most of all the parents and relatives and guardians who take on the job of arranging rides, getting kids to rehearsals, getting them home, arranging dinner around these productions, and homework, and all the other activities that go on in your lives. We are so thankful for all the families who committed to making these productions happen. And at the end of the day, you're the ones who, are with your children and dealing with your disappointment and elation and all the other emotions that come from being a part of the school and being part of the community. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you do and all that you bring. You are the true supports of all of our students in this district.
Thank you very much. Very well said. Other board member comments? Mrs. Shapiro? Okay.
I just want to congratulate the teachers who received tenure tonight. As a former teacher, I know the hard work that goes into being a teacher, and I know the thrill of getting tenure, and I also know the thrill of being a parent of a child who also received tenure. It's a great accomplishment, but it shouldn't stop there. And I know with the teachers who received it and those teachers who are here tonight, I know that you've gone on to take other courses, and I, for one, really appreciate everything that you do day in and day out. That was number one. Number two has to do with the budget, and it has to do with getting out the vote. We're a district of approximately 16,000 registered voters. The highest number that we've ever gotten is 6,000. What's up? I know I'm preaching to the choir. At least I hope I'm preaching to the choir. You do go out and vote. But we have to get more people out to vote. We just have to. I'm involved with the Rockland County School Board Association, and what's happening here in Suffern happens at Nanuet, happens at Pearl River, happens in North Rockland, East Ramapo, Clarkstown, Tappan Zee. It's awful. Of all of the elections that we have, the midterms, the presidential, whatever, this is the one that affects us the most. And yet this is the one that still has such low turnout. So if we can just get the word out, and once again, I know who I'm preaching to, but maybe if someone is listening and will refer to the YouTube channel and see this and stays long enough to hear me ranting and raving about this, maybe they'll get the idea that this is really important. This is absolutely important. We have to get not only people registered, but get more people out to vote. Now, people may be registered and maybe they don't know where to go. So we have to help those people who, for whatever reason, don't take it upon themselves to do the next step, which is on May 17th, vote. The fact that we get 4,000 and everyone gets excited, that's still less than 25%. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling to me. And so, besides you voting, if each one brings someone who might not normally vote, then maybe we can double the numbers. And I know the last year we had a little bit less than 3,000 people who came out to vote, which is 1 out of 6. If we can get it to where we get 1 out of 3, at least that's something, and maybe from there keep on building. So let's do it. I've kind of joked I would put a PA system on my car, and I'll go around the neighborhoods and I'll start yelling and screaming about getting people out to vote. Whatever would work, it's worth doing. So let's just get out to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. Well, let's move along then. Public participation. This is the second portion of the meeting. So this would be public participation on any district-related business. If you have something that you would like to say, please step to the podium. We have 3-minute speaking time. Please refrain from mentioning any teacher or student names. And please introduce yourself, name and just affiliation to the district.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, everyone. Administration, board members, for your outstanding efforts and thought process and consideration you take for our children. I have a question about one of our policies, and it's called remote learning. The reason I bring this up is I'm a parent of 3 children, and unfortunately, one of my children, a junior here at the high school, sustained a serious injury. She is unable to make it to school on doctor's notes, saying that because of her upcoming surgery, they would like her to remain at home, which is fine. My question is, I have reached out to many administrators wondering if remote learning can take place. The response we get is remote learning is only for COVID students. Now, if my child is willing and wanting to learn, but does not have COVID, why are we hindering her chances of an education? This is her junior year. She is willing to log on pre-surgery and post-surgery. Now, the comments that we've received have been, well, we offer home instruction. Years ago, I would understand home instruction was the only option that we had. Nowadays, with our technology and the ability for a teacher not to instruct my child at home, but just hit the button to allow her to listen what is going on in class, is of utmost importance. I think that the board has the right to make these kind of policies and maybe address these policies that will allow children that are stuck at home because of a serious injury to have that education that we all want our children to have. So I'm hoping that maybe doing whatever we can to benefit our children is truly important. Now, again, I want to thank all of you for your decisions that you make, and I hope that we can address this kind of policy or lack of policy that we might have. And one other question I did have was, when reaching out to administration, is there a certain amount of policy of how much time it should take for an administrator to reach back out to a parent? I don't know if it's a 24 hours, 48 hours, because unfortunately phone calls have been made and not receiving any phone calls back. There has been some communication with emails, but the lack of actual verbal communication is a little upsetting, because when we're reaching out to actually have a conversation on the education or the concerns of our children, I think that it is correct that an administrator or somebody, whoever it might be, have the courtesy of calling back. I want to thank all of you this evening for your time. And I hope that
I didn't. Oh no, I'm sorry.
I just
didn't
wanted
mean
to thank
interrupt.
everybody for your efforts and.
I was going to say
your
I didn't get your name.
Oh, Lorenzo Duraco. I have 3 children in the school system, 2 in the high school, 1 in the middle school.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so
So, this portion of the meeting, it's not a question and answer, but if you want to stay after the meeting and leave your contact information,
absolutely.
then we can have some fun.
Again, thank you so much for your time.
Right. Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
Hi, everybody. We're here from Viola. Our littlest Mounties are having a blast exploring Eric Carle books. They have become illustrators like him, creating end pages and using textures and vibrant colors. We are noticing all of his text features, such as Mr. Sun, which we call him Mr. Sun, chanting the repeated lines, and finding the special cut pages. Through this unit, we have investigated ladybugs, and we even had some come and visit our room. Like just organically, like in the light, like a flock of them. Didn't plan it, but then we went with it. We're waiting patiently for our caterpillars to arrive so we can read The Very Hungry Caterpillar. We just opened our pre-K animal hospital. We created pet bedding. We made cages for our pets. We designed labels for each cage and labeled the vet's tools and instruments. The animal hospital in action is so exciting for the students. The pet owners need to schedule appointments with the receptionist. In this unit, we are working on writing and sounding out their pet names because they come up with these names for their pets. They identify the numbers, they're measuring the height, the weight of the pets. They learn how to use play clocks and play with the concept of time because they write in the different appointment times and how long you need to wait, and they have to actually wait in the waiting room. So there's a lot of like lessons in here for all of us because they tell me what to do too. The vet conducts the checkup. They write up the report after the exam. We have a groomer on site to help keep our pets clean. You should definitely come by and visit our animal hospital. I'm super happy the program is expanding. I'm looking forward to have another teammate. Thank you for recognizing the importance of early childhood ed.
Okay, so for first grade at Viola, our global citizens have continued their work as we began earlier in the year by helping those affected by the war in Ukraine. We know that there are millions of families and kids who are in need of a helping hand and lots of kindness. First graders have been collecting and counting pennies each week since March 21st. We've tracked, recorded, and displayed the amounts collected every week. So far, we've collected about $400. We've even enlisted Dr. Gunderson to help us by placing a penny jar at Hilburn. We're excited for him to stop by with a filled jar of coins later this week. Yes, the 14th. Yes, but we were hoping that you would bring the jar and pass it around tonight, but... Oh. So our final day of the collection is this Thursday, the 14th. We can't wait to see what our final total is. The entire collection will be sent to an organization that will directly help displaced families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. We did actually have visual supports to go along with. I don't know if somebody has that. You're getting it? Okay.
I think we're working on getting it up there.
Thank you.
But just for a matter of protocol, we know your names, but can you just?
I'm getting there. I got it. So I'm Jen Butler. I teach third grade at Viola. Before I start, I just want to congratulate all the amazing staff members that received tenure this evening. Especially shout out to Darlene Boyza at Viola. We wanted to share a few things that were happening in the past few months at Viola in third grade. So in February, we began our in-depth study into hydroponic farming in order to help the Sloatsburg Food Pantry. So based on their research and their observations, students were tasked with sharing the advantages and disadvantages and ultimately making recommendations to the pantry
on whether or not they should use hydroponic farming techniques to provide produce for the community. So there's a couple of, like, 3 slides that go with this. Sorry. So,
I like that away.
oh, I didn't realize you were controlling it. Okay. So that first slide was, you know, us. Well, here, I'll keep going. During this process, we gathered our questions, we read articles, we watched videos, we consulted with experts before even setting up the systems. And then after planting day, we took measurements and photos, tracking the growth and gathering our thoughts and observations on Google Slides. And then finally, we used our amazing opinion writing strategies and skills to share our recommendations, as well as our lettuce and our basil, with the pantry. So we were very excited to hear that community members would be enjoying salads that included our hydroponically grown produce. And we actually even sent some home to 2 tortoises, mine and a student in my class, to enjoy as well. So there's one more hydroponic slide. That's just an example of some of the things that we shared on our. That's okay. You're up. You can go ahead. Much better ran away than I am a public speaker. I'm Kathleen Maniotti. I teach 3rd grade with Jen at Viola. Over the past few months, we've been celebrating the wonderful diversity of our classmates by teaching one another about our cultures. Students have shared so many parts of their lives, from celebrations, language, clothing, art, music, and dance. And this month, the focus is on everyone's favorite topic, food. We have learned words in many languages, such as Chinese, Russian, Spanish, and Arabic. We've discovered the origin of our names and investigated why our parents chose them. We had 2 students perform songs in Chinese. We've explored Russian folk dance, the merengue from the Dominican Republic, Irish step dancing, the tarantella from Italy, and a dance they call the tinkling from the Philippines. Students have been so enthusiastic about sharing their cultures and finding similarities and differences among all that they have shared. We look forward to our multicultural night celebration on May 5th. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if Anna White can do that. I don't know if it's possible, but we did put 2 clips in there of some of the students performing. I don't know how to click on the actual images, but if you click on the actual images, there are videos there. We'll see. If it doesn't work, that's okay. No? May 5th. So this is one of the students showing us the Filipino dance of the season. On the district help us, and then we all got to do it. Pretty cool to hear the bamboo clicking on the ground. I hope we get the sound, because otherwise your piano player is not going to. My tarantella will not really shine through. This is cool. If you click on the other picture, his would definitely need sound if we wanted to enjoy it, because he's going to play piano. But I don't know if the sound is working. It's the other one. If you click on the boy on the left, it should be taking us to the link for that one, but that's okay. We can always tweet it. No, okay. All right. Sorry about that. But...
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christine Keir. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Viola Elementary School.
We are so excited to share a project-based learning work that our students just completed and that incorporated math, writing, and so much more. Hi, my name is Julie Lentz. I'm the other fourth grade teacher at Viola. We had the privilege of working with Ken Wojcicki for this PBL unit for our students, along with our math specialist, Rob Zink, our E&L teacher, Lauren Voss, and our IT facilitator, Dave Bramister. Mr. Weiss, who happened to be a former Viola parent and vice president of sales for Moose Toys Incorporated, talked to our students about his company looking for the next best fidget toys, and he needed their help. He gave our students the task of creating a fidget toy that fit a certain criteria with a minimum and maximum requirements for the perimeter, what fractional parts were needed, and what more. So students were put in groups where they each got assigned a job as either project manager, content manager, messenger, or human resource manager. This allowed each child to have an important responsibility to the group. Students had to work together throughout the month to be successful. Teamwork was a theme throughout this entire project. We immersed the students in activities to get their brains thinking, such as a touch museum of existing fidget toys. We had special guests come and speak to our students, such as Mr. Rozenovich, who taught our kids Tinkercad, Mr. Regan, our OT specialist, who taught the students how our brains and coordination work together and how fidgets can help students focus, and engineer Mr. Furman, who went over the design process. Students then started to sketch and physically create a new fidget prototype and on Tinkercad, keeping in mind and constantly checking that their math fraction components and perimeter fit the required criteria. They also researched, made graphs, analyzed the data, and made fractional statements, all from asking students in Viola what they liked and didn't like to incorporate into their designs. After all, they were creating the next best fidget for kids, so who better to ask than kids themselves? Groups had check-ins throughout the process, such as writing a reflection in an online journal, exit tickets, and assignments to be finished by a deadline where they had to help each other as a group to complete all the tasks on time and earn a certificate. Once the students' prototypes and Tinkercad fidgets were ready to go and fit all the required criteria, it was time to get ready to present to the Shark Tank panel, where our very own Dr. Gunderson, Mrs. Weber, Dr. Richeria, were our sharks, along with engineer Mr. Furman and our former Suffern Central board member, Mr. Gonzalez, who was the Moose Toy representative. There are our sharks. Each group presented to the Shark Tank and listened to their feedback. The students all came in looking adorably professional, dressed to impress. They felt super excited that presentation day was finally here. They even came into the Shark Tank music, which was fun. While we are so incredibly proud of them for their work, what made us the most proud and had us watching with tears in our eyes was the following. The long journey of watching them fail, pick themselves up, and try again and again as a team over and over until they were successful. One student said to the Shark Tank, "When our prototype was finished but didn't fit the required perimeter, I thought it was all over." But they readjusted, made some changes that had them holding their breath, such as cutting their prototype, and they made it work together as a team. They experienced a roller coaster of real life scenarios. There are 8 students in our grade. You would never know that a couple of these students did not speak English, and they made it work together as a team. They experienced a roller coaster of real life in September. You couldn't tell that some of the students had index cards to help them when presenting. Hearing a child who worked so hard to say the word squishy instead of stretchy and nail it in the presentation was absolutely the highlight for us. We also saw students open their hearts to each other, accept and appreciate their differences, and see that each one of them brought something special to their team. Students who spoke so confidently during their presentation, yet wouldn't raise their hand to share their ideas at the beginning of the year. There they stood, proudly speaking loudly and clearly and with a smile. When teams had struggles, we heard them talk through their issues and come out stronger. We witnessed 4th grade graders problem solve as a team. Mr. Selly's student who from the exploration class who pushes in for math joined us for the project. You would never be able to identify this student who is now joining us now for reading and science as well. As teachers, we are always learning. We are now taking what we learned from Mr. Woj about project-based learning and applying it in our next reading unit and incorporating social studies. The kids are super excited for our next adventure. If any teachers are interested in doing a PBL unit, we would be happy to talk to you. We heard so many positive things from the kids during and after this project, but one really sums it all up for us. I might tear up on this. A child said to us after presenting to the Sharks, "This is the best day of my life. After doing this project, I realized how many people care about me." This came from a student who really needed to realize how loved he was. He then said he's keeping his index cards forever because they'll always remind him of how he felt in that moment and that he can do anything. Here's a peek at the prototype and Tinkercad fidgets that the kids created. Thank you for listening and watching our journey.
Yeah. Thank you.
Viola, you really outdid yourself tonight. I'm a one-girl show. Thanks. That's embarrassing. Good evening. I'm Erin DeFabio. I'm a fourth grade teacher at RP Connor. I wanted to begin by saying congratulations to all the tenure recipients. Obviously, they're not here, but congratulations. Connor Cougars have something to share, and we sure did. As a school and district, we read Stella Diaz Has Something to Say, written by Angela Dominguez. As a school, we celebrated the themes of the book, making different connections at each grade level. Fifth grade created rules for a great friendship. Fourth grade wrote about finding your inner starfish. When did you use your inner strength to overcome an obstacle? Second grade wrote poems about sea life. First grade and kindergarten wrote about how to welcome a new student to RP Connor School. The PTA also sponsored third, fourth, and fifth grade virtual trips to the Shed Aquarium, character Stella Diaz's favorite place, and K through 2 shared in a virtual trip to the Norwal Aquarium. I said that right. So a great big thank you to the RP Connor PTA. Parents had the opportunity to see this great work displayed and celebrate the diversity at Connor School during our family engagement night. Parents and students visited our school really for the first time in 2 years. Families had the opportunity to visit current classrooms and future classrooms, as well as music and art displays and students presenting their passion projects. This was an opportunity for all to see what the K-5 continuum looks like at RP Connor. After visiting classrooms, many families entered the gym and cafeteria to visit the 26 countries represented by 37 families. Each family hosted a table to showcase their culture through food, activities, and art. Family engagement night was a huge, delicious, and educational success. RP Connor also hosted a fundraising walk for Ukraine on April 4th. The fifth grade student council and student council coordinator, Jamie Liberty, they raised $3,511 through t-shirt sales and monetary donations. The donations were received by the Ukrainian Catholic Church in Spring Valley. RP Connor is looking forward to Festival of the Arts on Thursday. This is a PTA-sponsored event in which various artists share the love of performance, drawing, African dance, magic, and theater. The month of May will be filled with musical concerts performed by the RP Connor students. And in June, anybody who wants to come out and support the Girls on the Run program. They will be competing for their personal best in a 5K. The race will be held on June 4th at Rockland Lake. The head coach, Alice, also our music teacher, Allison Meyer, raised over $700 for Girls on the Run by running the Shape Women's Half Marathon in Central Park this past Sunday. It was a personal best for her. I was very jealous. And she thanks you all for your support of her. So whenever you have a chance, come see us at RP Connor and see every student, what they're doing and how awesome they all are. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Any other speakers before we move on? Anybody else want to showcase their school or their classroom? That was really fantastic, everybody. Really just wonderful work and wonderful presentations. Thank you. Okay. Then we'll move on to superintendent closing comments.
I actually have a few based on some of the comments that were just made. So it starts off with our budget presentation. We're presenting to our community the importance of supporting students by voting in the budget elections. And when you look at what happened this evening, we're celebrating the great things that our students are able to accomplish, and our staff members that presented here today didn't pat themselves on the back, but they showcased the great work that their students were doing. I think all of us around this board table recognize that our students are able to do great things because they're supported by a community, by the way, that includes great parent organizations, PTA, and we heard about some PTA events. We just had a phenomenal Reach Foundation event, the Color Run, that was a lot of fun and also raised funds for really special projects in this district. And then we also saw how our teachers take advantage of those resources and make great things happen in the classrooms and outside of the classrooms. It's a beautiful circle of community, staff, and students that make this magic happen. So I'd like to congratulate the staff members, not only who presented here, but all those staff members in our district who are really going that extra mile to make great things happen for our students. I'd like to thank you so much for that. I'd like to ask Ms. Weber to speak very briefly about more great things happening. And if you could just, I know I'm putting you a little bit on the spot here, but if you could share some of the great news that's happening with enrollment with our littlest Mounties, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you. So this year, our universal pre-K process, we just closed our applications at the end of March. We received over 150 registrants for UPK, which is the second highest number we've had since 2014. So we are thrilled to welcome all our little Mounties, and hence the need to expand our UPK offerings here in the district. So we're planning next year for 2 full-day classrooms and our AM/PM classrooms. So we'll have 3 full UPK classrooms. We're incredibly grateful for the board's support with this. And so excited for our families. We've been starting our family interviews this week in Hilburn. So the families have been coming in with their little ones, and it has brought such joy to the building. And we just can't wait to meet the rest of our families over the remainder of this week and when we return from break.
What a great way to end superintendent's comments. Thank you very much, Ms. Weber.
Battery's running low on this one. All right, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Ms. Weber, thank you for that great news. It's just always wonderful to see the support and how well that program is doing. I know it's something that, I I want to speak for everybody here. That's something that we all, really support and we're really proud of. So thank you. And on that note, I think that we are ready to wrap up. So just really quick before we adjourn, just quick meeting housekeeping. The next regularly scheduled board meeting was May the 3rd. However, just a quick note that there will be a special meeting added on April 26th, and this is strictly for the BOCES budget vote. It's a deadline that we have to fit in based around when BOCES approves their budget. So we have to have a meeting on the 26th to approve that. But that, barring any unforeseen circumstances, that should be the only item on that agenda. And then the following week, May the 3rd, will be the next regular meeting like this. So that about does it. So I would make a motion to adjourn. I'm getting looked at like I said something totally incorrect. No, I'm good. I'm okay. Oh, all right, good. Thank you. All right, so I'll make is there a motion to adjourn? All right, let's do that one again. Do I have a motion? Mr. Frazier. Second? Ms. Dickman. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all very much. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Enjoy your holidays and a little bit of time off next week. Thank you.